Thank you, Intangible. Shall we dive into Silverquill? So some big picture stuff. I think augmenting your creatures is key. In general, the creatures are small from themselves, but they have a lot of keywords, so that is a good thing. As we mentioned, instead of enchantment auras, in this set you're using instants and sorceries to make your creatures bigger, because they leave behind +1/+1 counters. So most of those sorceries and instants, they work like an enchantment would. Of course, that triggers Magecraft, so that's a nice bonus there. There are two common tricks in Silverquill. There's a black one for 1 black mana, and there's a white one for 1 and a white. That protect your creatures from removal. I think those are key. I think those are the way to save your pumped up creatures from removal spells. And I think we're going to leave a lot of mana open Silverquill on turn 4 and onwards, just to suggest at least that we have those cards in hand. Also, and I think that's a good point to mention, there are different ways to discard your opponent's removal spells. There's Humiliate, Go Blank, there's the PvDDR World Champion card that all allow you to look at the opponent's hand, and that way you can start to play around any removal spell that you see there for the next few turns. There are not a lot of ways to make Inklings in this archetype, so there 3 out of the 6 ways are at Mythic, so that's a no-go. Then there's 1 at common, 1 at uncommon, and 1 at rare. So it's rather unlikely that this archetype will revolve, I think is the word, around the Inklings.
Yeah, I know. I mean, people in the set reviews, they were talking Inklings, and then I looked at the numbers, and there's just none of them. It's a fake avenue. People think that there's. I mean, you have to think you can also make Inklings from the Mythic Dragon. I don't think that. Or does it count it? Yeah.
It's probably
Mythic
counted
Dragon,
in the 3 mythics, yeah.
Okay. Mythic Dragon, the X spell, that is also the new Starnheim Unleashed sort of style.
Yeah. And the card that makes all the summonings, basically, or 3 out of the 5, right? I think Inkling is part of that one as well, yeah. So 3 ways at Mythic. You're probably not going to see them during the set if you only do like 20 drafts. You can basically skip the whole Inkling thing, I would say. Of course, the summoning lesson is great, right? I mean, 3 mana, 2/1 flyer. Does it also have... It's an instant, right? So it's basically a 2/1 flyer with flash, I think?
I think it's...
I know, all the lessons are sorcery, I think, per definition.
Oh, okay. Maybe I'm...
Because a lesson has to be scheduled. It cannot be like a flash lesson that no one knows. See, the wizards... they had the flavor covered for you.
The good one. Yeah, you're the one.
It also makes the card much more boring, so sort of like in line with lessons.
In line with lessons, yeah. Okay, that's a good one. In my opinion, Silverquill is bound to play a cheap game and have a very low curve, so I'm expecting this college to hardly ever play more than 60 lands, but we'll see. That's just a take. Okay. Dive into the draft archetypes. I think this is my low curve one, right? And then we can do your more mediocre one, Pawel, after this.
Oh, doesn't Hululu have this one?
Do you have this one as well, Max?
I see this one as well. Yeah, we can go over them.
I'll bring it up.
Yep.
Because I mean, I think that I don't have that much to add on Silverquill. I would be happy to add my stuff on Witherbloom because I really put a lot of thought in those.
Sure. Okay, Max, you want to go over this one? I'll try to highlight the cards that you mentioned.
Okay. I actually think it's quite similar to yours. So on the 1-drop, there's the creature that gives its counters to another creature when it dies. On the 2-drop, so there's the uncommon one, the legendary one, and Leech Fanatics. This is a card that I think is better in Silverquill than in Witherbloom because you want to be attacking. And then the Arrogant Poet is you have to pay life to give it flying. But if you can make it bigger, then now it's like a favorable trade for you. And the last, there's this Thunder's Orator, which is like it gains all the keywords you have. So one like minor theme in this color is that a lot of the abilities are temporary. Like you can give the Poet flying, and when attacking, the Pledge Mage, it gains lifelink, and I wonder what's the other ability. Also flying, if you Magecraft. So you have all these temporary abilities, which kind of keep the cost down because it's not like a keyword. But if you can make use of it when you attack, then it's very good. So one card I added here is the Lawful Pledge Mage. It has first strike and +1/+0, I think, when it Magecrafts. Yeah. So it's a very good attacker. And then the Golem is for like doubling all your counters and stuff.
Yeah,
and
maybe we can. Maybe you could add a bit more words to why the Golem is good in this archetype, because I can imagine that it's not like immediately clear to people how strong this card is in Silverquill.
Yeah, so it basically copies all your cards that put counters on things or like protection spells even, and it also triggers your Magecraft stuff one more time. So this is a very powerful like spell doubling effect in this archetype.
Yeah, definitely.
And if you have the Killian, all your like pump spell call 2 less, and you can easily like pay the cost to double the copy the spell. And just a couple of other like creatures with keywords at 4-drop and 5-drop slots. And for the spells, there's a couple of cards that put counters on your creatures. There's Humiliate to look at their hands and discard the removal spell. Go Blank, I think it may be good here, just to keep their hands more, so that like they don't have their lands to cast their expensive removals and so on and so forth. So one other like this is like a pet theory of mine is the introduction to annihilation. So that card you also put it in the lawful. So I think it's good in two types of situations. It's good in a very long game where you have mana to cast this thing, but it's also good when you are in like a very dominant position on board. So the card I will compare it to is Divine Gambit and the uncommon Green White Saga, Fall of the Imposter. So sometimes when you are in Green White in card time, you have a good board, you are attacking them down, and you have the Fall of the Imposter on the board. Now they are in a big trouble because they can't actually play anything to block you, because they are going to be exiled in the next turn. So this kind of effect is very good when you are ahead, and very bad if you are behind. And the power of the lesson is that you can grab it when you are sure that you are like going to kill them in 1 or 2 turns. So you don't mind like paying this cost.
Yeah, I like that take a lot, Max.
Yeah, I find it funny that we both put the Lordhold Pledge Mage in our Silverquill decks. I think that it's a good shout there, because I think that the first strike with counters is such a good combo, especially most of the creatures in this set are quite small. I think that it's going to be a slam dunk to make it 4/4 using the. And you have to keep in mind, even if you don't make it a 4/4, you still threaten playing an instant during combat, so opponents will have really tough time dealing with those. And in an aggressive deck, not like Lorehold is, according to us at least, in an aggressive deck, this card would be such a problem, such a headache. I think that when I saw this card, it instantly reminded me the Porcupine in Ikoria, the 2/3 when the cycle gets +2/+0. Mm-hmm. This card was always a pain to play against, and I see the Lordhold Pledge Mage just being exactly this, and then you can still play it in a deck that can put extra counters onto it.
Yeah, I like it. Anything else you want to add here, Max? Okay.
Nope.
Let's quickly jump to mine. I think most indeed our decks looked very similar. I wanted to highlight the Eye Witch and the Unwilling Ingredient. So as Max also mentioned, I think like low curve creatures are just key here, right? Because you want to pump them up, and I think there are some very interesting 1-drops in this set that you want to put +1/+1 counters on. I think iTwitch is very... Sorry.
Is that your archetype? Is that your archetype? It's a 1-drop tribal there.
Oh yeah, I love 1-drop tribal. So basically I'm saying like, okay, Essence Infusion is +1/+1, 2/+1 counters on a creature, and it gives it lifelink. So I'm basically, I love this card, kind of in love, but basically try to play as much 1-drops where I wanna put an Essence Infusion on. Basically, that's my spiel. I think iTwitch becomes a 3/3 flyer. I mean, that's insane on turn 2. I don't have to tell you much, right? Star Pupil, we all know why this is great with Essence Infusion, basically. Unwilling Ingredient is a 1/1 menace creature, which you're not only fine to lose, right? Because it'll for 3 mana you can draw a new card off of it. So if they 2-for-1 you, if you Essence Infusion this and they 2-for-1 you, you'll be able to get your card back eventually. But it also is menace, right? So if you have a 3/3 menace on turn 2, I just think that's insane. I think
and also, I mean, that's something maybe that we didn't mention, but in Kaltheim there was quite some decent removal at cheap.
Right.
And here there is not that much of it. So the 3/3 flyer on turn 2, if you're on the play, can be swayed for quite some turns.
Right.
And there is no bounce effect that is for 2 mana you normally will find. Some things are just not there. I think that the removal aligns well with boosting a creature on turn 2 and playing it early.
Right. And same with the iTwitch, same as the ingredient, right? If they 2-for-1 you, it's not that bad because they're not actually 2-for-1ing you. You're learning when it dies, right? So you're getting your card back in a sense. So I think both the Unwilling Ingredient and the iTwitch are great targets for something like Essence. Last one, I saw some debate about. It got quite a bad rap from some other content creators, the clever Lumenmancer. Like, imagine playing this on turn 1, then playing Essence Infusion on it turn 2. It becomes a 4/5 with lifelink. On turn 2, you hit them for 4, you gain 4. Like...
Yeah, but I think that the question is what next?
Well, next turn I'll put another Essence Infusion on it and I'll hit them for 6. Like, now we're talking. No, I just really like this card. I like it. Like, if this is your plan, this is a great card. If this is not your plan, you're not playing this main deck, basically. That's how
I think that this is going to be the card that we definitely is going to be one of the first cards we are going to run data on.
Right. Yes.
Because
probably.
This has all the hallmarks of a card that will create some kind of Twitter storms.
Yes, and it has clever in the name, right? So it's good to run some data analytics.
The white 2-drop Migu, I think it is the one that gains keywords from other cards. Is it?
Oh yeah, it is. So Max already highlighted this card. I like it a lot as well. It's a great target for Essence Infusion or other spells that put +1/+1 counters on a creature, right? Because it has Vigilance from itself. It's very likely to has like either First Strike or Flying in this archetype. So I think it's a slam dunk. Yeah, it looks very powerful. I have the Killian here as well. I think this is a very important card for the archetype. So the 2 mana combat tricks, their cost will be reduced with the 1 colorless mana, right? So they will be like one white, 1 black, 1 black. So I think it's very strong. The Poet, I think, is very playable. Like if you put counters on this, paying the 2 life to hit them in the air is not even that costly. I think this archetype is all about getting your opponent dead, not about staying alive. Therefore, I think the Arrogant Poet is a fine include. Yeah, what else is there to say? I hardly have any top end. I think Spectre is a nice top end card. Not only is it a 2/3 flyer for 4, which is a fine rate and it can deal some damage. But I think the ability on this is insane, right? The read that it gives you 6 mana, your opponent loses 2 life. Like, if you get the train rolling in the early game, get them down to like 6 or 4, and you play this on turn 4, how are they going to like get away out of that situation?
Yeah, no, exactly.
I like it.
I'm more curious about some of the non-includes.
Give it to me.
So, I think that if you play Lumenmancer, I would probably play the thing that makes a 1/1 pest and learns.
Probably.
Because
yeah.
the order of, you want to maximize on your spells, and you only have 8 right now, and you will probably get some from your
right.
flavor. But I mean, that doesn't represent a lot of damage from the Lumimancers, and this makes me worried about this card for that reason. It's like, yes, it can have a very good second turn, but
yeah. Oh, okay.
But I don't see. Someone in the chat wrote exactly that. It looks like Akum Hellhound. And don't get me wrong, I played decks with Akum Hellhound in Zendikar, and they were quite successful. But I wanted to have 4 of them in those decks, and then I built them around this and Brushfire Elementals normally, and that's the only time when it worked. And I think it might be the same case here, when I can only make that deck work when I have 4 Lumimancers, and then I fill in on the spell.
Right. So first off, I'm only running 1 Luminancer here. It's an uncommon. I don't think it's realistic to assume you have more. But maybe if like people throw Luminancer at the side and nobody's drafting it, you maybe end up with like 2 or more. I think if you end up with 2 and more, you're most likely going to play more spells in this deck, right? And I think in general you're going to play more spells in this deck. I think I was a bit I think my creature spell ratio here is a bit off. I can imagine that you're playing maybe a Professor's Warning extra, maybe an Essence Infusion extra if you can get your hands on that, and then you can maybe like cut the Spectre of Defense. There was also a question on the Spectre of Defense. Yes, you might die before you get to 6 mana with this low of a curve, but it's just a fail case, right? I think a 4 mana to fire, it's a fine card on rate, and I think the ability might allow you to close out some games that you're not supposed to win.
So I think I put show of confidence in mind for the Luminancer's sake.
Yeah.
That's the thing that copies itself for every other instance. So basically you can play 2 instants, play this one, and you have...
Ooh, you have a sick Luminancer.
You send someone for not all of a sudden.
That's a sweet wombo. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Okay. Let's see. Are there any other questions? So there's a question regarding the 1/1 counter.
Yeah, I'll disappear for a second to make myself a new tea, but I'll be hearing you. So.
Sure, do so. So there's a question regarding the 1/1 counter Uncommon Lord in black and white. Personally, I think they're a bit. I think the white one especially is a bit slow. Like if you're going for this like low curve 16 lands aggressive archetype, I think the white lord is just too slow. But the black one, if you mean the Incaster, I kinda like that one. I kinda like that one. I think it's a great top end in this kind of deck.
Yeah, I like it too. Yeah. I wonder if there's like the go wide, spread your counters around strategy versus strategy.
Could be. So then you're probably not playing Beaming Defiance, and you're probably not playing Professor Warning, right? But you're like going a bit more wide. You don't care about creatures dying. Yeah, then the White Lord might be actually good. Definitely. Anything else about this, Max? Nope. Let's get back to the slide deck. And maybe also Sierkovitz asked a question about why I did not put the sorcery card in there, but I think that's like the card to highlight in Witherbloom, and I try to stay away from these cards in other archetypes. So we'll definitely get to that card, Pawel. Yeah, so standout cards. I think we mentioned most of these, and I think it's pretty clear why they are on the list.